like I should feel like I should feel like I should feel like I should go. Go. Feel like I should go. Feel like I should feel like I should feel like I should feel like I should go.
Absolute beings. They had created countless universes since time immemorial, searching for infinity. These beings possessed a power beyond imagination, and their insatiable desire for knowledge knew no bounds. The absolute being continued to create more and more endlessly, and so laws, souls, and matter were born. Yet nothing could dispel his boredom. He began to watch the warfare of the creatures he had created, studying their conflicts and intrigues. In every battle, in every clash, he sought answers to the question that had troubled him since the dawn of creation. But more than anything, he was fascinated by the creatures' destructive power. They had to fight, die, and be reborn, again and again. An endless war, all to amuse their creator. But then, something unforeseen happened. An absolute being, watching a battle, was destroyed by his own creation. The news shook the dimensions. Absolute beings from across existence gathered, their piercing gazes locked onto the world that had lost its creator. The death of one of their kind by the hands of a mere creation, a dark omen. In the shadows, echoes of past evil stirred. The true power of creation lay dormant, waiting to be unleashed. But the absolute beings felt no fear. They had only one thought. The power that lost its owner would belong to the one who could take it first. Meanwhile, in another world, a young boy, Suho, stood in disbelief. He had been accepted into the Korean National Institute of Arts. He still couldn't believe it. His friends couldn't believe it either. They stared at him, their expressions shifting from shock to denial. No way. It can't be. They refused to accept it. How could someone so rude pass the Art Institute entrance exam? One of them, tears in his eyes, scoffed. "You should have retaken the exam." Suho laughed, brushing off their disbelief. "At least now I'm finally free from this hell." But then, a voice came from behind. "Congratulations on passing the entrance exam." Suho turned sharply. It was Kim Sunchol. Kim smirked, eyeing him. "So, you really got into the Art Institute?" Suho's jaw tightened. Kim chuckled. "I didn't think you had talent for it. Since when did you become good at drawing?" Suho's fist clenched, but before he could answer, Kim's expression shifted, and he scoffed. "Oh? Did I get your name wrong? My bad. You're not Kim Sunchol. You're Lee Uncho, right?" Uncho's face darkened with anger. "Stop calling me that." But Suho? He didn't care. He smirked, acting like he hadn't messed up the name on purpose. Kim's voice grew colder. "Because of you, my plan to go to high school failed." Suho's smile didn't fade. "And because of you, I was able to graduate." Around them, the other students exchanged glances. They knew Uncho was provoking him again. They realized that it wouldn't be long before graduation. Yet he continued to act like a child, ignoring the maturity and responsibility that this moment demanded. The students couldn't understand why Yuno was still picking on someone, a man who was simply trying to live a happy life despite the pain of losing his parents. Luna's anger boiled over. With a loud shout, he called Suho's name and lunged at him. But Suho didn't move. He stood completely still, calm, unshaken. He was sure he could repel the attack. And the moment Luna struck, Suho reacted, fast. In an instant, he countered, striking Luna so hard that he crashed onto the floor. Suho's voice was cold. "Stay quiet until graduation." But then, Luna stood up. His eyes burned with determination. He had not given up. "That was nothing," he growled. Something shifted. A strange energy wrapped around Luna's hand. Suho's breath hitched. He had never seen anything like it before. That power, it was mysterious and dangerous. Then, Luna unleashed an incredibly powerful attack. Suho barely dodged. Just in time, his heart pounded in his chest. Fear flickered in his eyes. And the other students, they were shocked. The force of Luna's punch was unbelievable. It tore through the iron lockers behind Suho like they were paper. Suho lay on the floor, his body frozen, paralyzed, terror, shock. Luna stood above him, his entire body wrapped in a brilliant, blinding aura. He looked unstoppable and terrifying. 2 years passed since that incident. Suho was now a second-year university student. He walked down the street, lost in thought. That day, it still haunted him. His thoughts were interrupted by a voice. A man stood in the street, calling out, "All classes in the main building have been moved. Students, please head to the neighboring building." Suho's gaze lifted. He noticed guards. They were blocking off the danger zone. His stomach tightened. A gate sweep, he thought. one of the guards asked. How long has it been since the hunters arrived? A little over an hour, a staff member replied. Given the rank, they should be done soon. Then an announcement echoed. Only hunters are allowed near the gate. Suho's brows furrowed. A new gate? Again? Precautions had tightened. Restrictions were stricter. It had been 3 years since the gates first appeared, and since then, the world had changed forever. These gates were portals, leading to dungeons. From inside came demonic beasts, beasts that destroyed everything in their path. But something else changed too. People. Some began to wield magical energy. They were called the Awakened. The world was no longer the same. But the chaos, it didn't last as long as everyone feared. An awakened man named Jin-Woo created an association of hunters, gathering all his kind together and founding the specialty of hunters. Now, the world was divided. There were two kinds of people, the awakened and the ordinary. Some had to climb like ants, struggling through impossible obstacles, while others, they had power handed to them. This world had clear boundaries. Suho clenched his fists. No matter how hard an ordinary person tried, they were nothing compared to even an E-rank hunter. And yet, without hunters, the world would fall apart. We depend on them, Suho thought, but they don't need us. He was grateful to the hunters. Because of them, the unawakened like him could live in peace. And yet, a heavy anxiety sat in his chest. No matter how much he accepted this reality, could he ever get used to it? It all started with his parents' disappearance, and now his entire existence depended on others. It went against everything he once believed in. Everything he once had was gone, and all that remained was an emptiness he couldn't fill. What would my father have done? He often wondered. Would he have accepted this, or would he have fought for something more? Suddenly, a voice snapped him out of his thoughts. Suho! His teacher stood before him. You had pretty good concentration today. Suho blinked. His teacher glanced at his drawing. Is it interesting to draw like that? Suho shrugged. I just did it without thinking. His teacher chuckled. You're quite ingenious for an insect. Suho frowned, but then his teacher leaned closer, studying the image. Wait a second. This isn't just an ant. It's a human ant. Suho's eyes widened. He looked at his own drawing, and for some reason, he couldn't understand why he had drawn it. Meanwhile, near the gate, staff members waited. Then, movement. The hunters returned. The tension in the air dissolved. The dungeon had been cleared. A staff member sighed in relief. Thank you for your hard work, Hunter Kim Jang-woo. Kim nodded. The dungeon was successfully cleared, he said, and he had information to pass on to the association. He said that they had found a new species of demonic beasts. They were humanoid-like creatures that spewed blue flames from their eyes and mouths. They used claws and fangs, but their killing power was low. The hunters said that he was a little hurt, but since no complications had been revealed, they were just harmless monsters. And yet, they definitely hadn't met such demonic beasts before. So he was glad that they weren't dangerous. When he told them about the new beasts, the staff asked him to detail everything in the association report. Suddenly, blue flames appeared from the hunter's wound. The hunter felt a sharp pain. He let go of his sword and hands. It was as if an unknown force enveloped him. He lowered his head and froze. The staff member noticed that his eyes were sparkling with blue flames. He called out to him, but there was no response. Before the employee could react, the hunter turned around and attacked him. He was under the power of the blue flame and could not resist it. It destroyed the employee standing next to him. The hunters who were walking behind him froze in shock. Their leader had just destroyed a man who posed no threat to him. They realized that the flames in this dungeon were not ordinary. It had infected the hunter, and now he could infect anyone he would bite. The people panicked. They began to retreat from the gate, terrified that the hunter had just destroyed a human. They feared that he might turn against them. They frantically searched for a safe place. An unexpected noise outside interrupted the drawing class. The students rushed to the windows, trying to see why people were shouting. Suho raised his head, but couldn't understand what was happening. Looking through the window, the students saw something horrifying. People were attacking each other. They were all enveloped in a blue flame that was driving them crazy. Their eyes were glowing blue. That meant only one thing: demonic energy. They thought that the dungeon had not been cleaned up. Outside, people didn't know what to do. Some were trying to find a safe place, running in fear. Others were shouting, "We should wait for the hunters. They can save us." One of the students turned to Professor Talim. "Professor, I'm an awakened one. You have to do something." The professor shook his head. I can't help. I'm only an E-rank hunter." Suho's eyes widened. One of the hunters, engulfed in blue flames, was heading straight toward them. He shouted to everyone, "Get away from the windows. Now! Find a safe place! After his words, the hunter's body burst into the classroom window and began to destroy all the people present in the classroom. Suho turned around and began to run away, shouting for everyone else to do the same. While running away, he noticed that one student was lying on the floor, crying in pain. She couldn't escape. Her legs were injured. She was begging to be helped, to get out and escape. Suho didn't know what to do. How could he help her? His heart pounded. He turned around and rushed to run further. "I'll run for help," he shouted. "I'll come back for you, with the hunters." But even as he ran, his mind was in turmoil. Who could he call for help? Had he just left the girl to her doom? He clenched his fists. As an unawakened man, he could only do one thing. He closed his eyes. This was all because of that stupid awakening, but if he only blamed the situation, nothing would change. No, it was up to him to find a way out. Suho took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and thought, what would his father do in his place? He turned around and saw the possessed hunter, already approaching the girl. She was screaming, calling for help, but there was no one around. She saw the hunter lunging toward her. She covered her face with her hands and screamed. Suho came to her rescue. With the fire extinguisher in his hands, he swung with all his strength. Bam! He managed to repel the hunter, saving her from imminent death. His heart pounded. His breath was ragged. He knew that if his father had been in his place, he would have done the same. He would not leave the girl in trouble. He would have saved her. And then, a notification appeared before Suho's eyes. He froze. He had fulfilled all the conditions of a secret quest. Courage of the powerless. A dream flashed through his mind. He remembered it clearly, as if it was really happening to him. In that dream, he was in some kind of game. He had power attack gloves. He fought against monsters. Each time, they grew stronger. To survive, he had to find new ways, new methods to resist them. Each time he defeated a monster, he grew stronger. And soon, only powerful monsters stood in his way. He used all his skills, all his weapons, and kept fighting. Time passed, and he finally reached the last level, where the strongest monster was waiting for him. Suho's breath caught that final boss. It was his father. Although he was his enemy, his power made Suho feel respect and even envy. Yet for some reason, Suho didn't want to fight him, but he couldn't wake up. Suho gripped the fire extinguisher tightly. He had to save the girl. His mind was racing. He kept thinking about his father. What would he do in this situation? The hunter's entire body was engulfed in blue flames, completely consumed. He had gone mad and was infecting others, turning them into monsters. Suho fought the hunter with everything he had. He swung the fire extinguisher again and again. He had to stop him from biting anyone, but he knew it wouldn't last. They needed to find a safe place, but he didn't know what to do next. He had heard before, the unawakened couldn't hurt monsters without magic. Had he been too reckless? Had he made a terrible mistake? His breath was shallow. His heartbeat thundered in his ears. Then, he noticed something strange. The monster didn't fall. It was like it was suspended in the air. Suho's eyes widened. What was this? What kind of magic was this? Who possessed such power? He looked at the girl. She was frozen. She wasn't moving. No one was moving. Everything around him was still. Suho's breath hitched. He received a notice, one that had not been opened yet. His hands trembled as he opened it. And then, his eyes widened. You have successfully completed the secret quest, Courage of a Weakling. The system was offering him a chance to become a player. Suho gasped. His mind spun. This was just like his dream. In the final battle, he had faced his father. If this was truly like his dream, then he couldn't refuse. Suho smiled and confirmed that he would like to become a player. Now his life would change. He didn't know what was ahead of him, but he was ready to accept the change. The system congratulated him for becoming a player. He was rewarded for completing the task. The mage Kandu granted him a powerful spell, and from now on he would always be in good health. He also received the enhancement of long life without disease. He was immune to all diseases, poisons, and other negative effects. The system warned him that this was not a dream and to be careful. He only had one life. Looking at his stats, Suho thought the window was just like in the game, just like in his dream, and he was happy about that. The system notified him that he had a new mission. He needed to destroy the fog burn and increase his level. Burn of Mist was an awakened hunter who had been infected by the blue flame after a failed attempt to clear the gate. Suho, after receiving all the notifications, noticed that time had unfrozen. He looked at the girl and told her to run away from there soon. Now he could see all the inscriptions above the heads of the hunters. They were all mist burns that he needed to destroy. They were simple, unawakened people. He saw two unawakened demonic beings and one hunter in front of him. He realized that he needed to defeat them to level up. Suho saw two fog burns running at him, ready to destroy him. The surviving humans were fleeing to safety. He stood calmly and waited for them to approach. He knew that if he was truly awakened, he now possessed magic capable of destroying the monsters. So he decided to test it. Suho took the fire extinguisher and hit the first monster that tried to attack him. This blow knocked the monster back a few meters. He threw the fire extinguisher away and decided to test the power of his punch. He swung and aimed his fist straight at the monster's head. Suho was incredibly focused and angry. He struck the monster, and it pierced the ceiling with him. Suho couldn't believe he had such power. He was easily able to defeat the monster that had previously been able to destroy him with a single blow. The system notified him that he was able to defeat Burn Mist unawakened. He looked at his fist and couldn't believe he was able to do it with just one blow. The monster saw that he was standing still and decided to attack him. But Suho was able to dodge and counterattack, which destroyed the monster. The system confirmed that he was able to defeat the second monster, and his mission was complete. He was incredibly happy that he had such abilities. Suho was able to level up. He had successfully completed the training where he had to destroy the fog burn and level up. The system gave him a reward for completing the task. He couldn't believe that this was actually happening to him. He decided to test his new powers. He attacked the monster and finally realized that he had truly awakened. He now had abilities and could wield magic. Suho struck, but this time it was different. The monster took his blow as if it didn't feel any pain. This surprised Suho and made him realize that the upcoming battle would be much more difficult than he thought. He was quite astonished that he was unable to destroy the monster. He realized that his opponent had become much stronger than expected. This caused him to not only be surprised but also anxious, leading him to search for new ways to defeat it. The monster launched its attack right after Suho failed to destroy it. With each passing moment, the attacks became more and more fierce. Suho realized that he now had to endure a veritable storm of power and fury to survive and find a way to defeat this invulnerable enemy. Mistburn had severely wounded Suho in one of its attacks. Feeling the sharp pain, Suho realized he was in big trouble. The situation had become critical, and he knew he had to change his strategy to survive and continue the fight. Suho gathered his strength and kicked the monster, which allowed him to break free and jump back to a safe distance. Once at a distance, he took a deep breath, realizing that this temporary escape gave him time to think about his next move. He saw the heavy wounds on himself and thought that now he could turn into a demonic creature after such an injury. It scared him because he had only just awakened. The system notified him that they had detected life-threatening injuries, and now the effect of long life without sickness had been activated. He couldn't figure out what the skill was, but then he remembered the ability. It was in one of the notifications he had received as a reward for killing monsters. The monster pounced on him and slammed him to the ground, trying to inflict maximum damage. It was incredibly strong, and Suho could hardly contain it. He thought that since he was weaker than a D-rank demonic creature, it meant his rank was E. He was glad that he was able to awaken. But why? Why was his rank so low? Suho tried his best to restrain the monster, his arms trembling as he struggled to keep its snapping jaws away from him. He didn't know how to defeat it, but he refused to give up. Suho realized that any action he took could be decisive in this deadly battle. Suddenly, Suho received a reward notification. He was given skill points and strength points. The enhanced abilities surged through his body, giving him a fighting chance. After receiving the reward, Suho struck the monster with all his might, freeing his hand from its crushing grip. He gasped for breath. He was stronger now. He could feel it. With a powerful roar, he hurled the monster off him, sending it crashing to the floor. "Get up! You can't stop now!" Suho told himself. The monster staggered back to its feet, faster than Suho expected. Their deadly duel continued. Suho didn't know what the monster would do next, but he knew one thing. He had to destroy it now. He lunged forward and delivered a heavy, powerful blow. The monster recoiled, clearly stunned by the force. Suho pressed forward, determined. He kept attacking, blow after blow, but to his horror, the monster still refused to fall. It kept attacking back, wild and relentless. "How is it still moving?" Suho gritted his teeth in frustration. Even with this strength, it's not enough. Suho knew what he had to do. Without hesitation, he invested all his skill points into strength. Power surged through his veins like fire. He clenched his fist tightly. This time I'll end it. The monster lunged again, but Suho dodged and retaliated with a devastating punch. The monster flew several meters back, slamming into the wall. I can't give it a chance to recover, Suho growled. He sprinted forward and unleashed a relentless barrage of punches. Blow after blow, each one stronger than the last, hammered into the monster's body. The creature barely moved, unable to resist. But still, it refused to die. Why won't you fall? Suho roared. He clenched his fist and delivered one final, earth-shattering punch. The monster collapsed. Breathing heavily, Suho stumbled back. His chest rose and fell rapidly. He could hardly stand. He cautiously stepped closer to the still body, praying it was over. You have defeated the monster. Suho's legs gave out, and he dropped to the floor. He was exhausted, yet relieved. I did it, he whispered. His hands shook as he looked at his own blood-streaked fingers. He clenched his fist tightly. I'm an awakened player, he murmured. His smile was faint but full of pride. He had survived. He had won. But Suho knew this was only the beginning. Now he could protect people. Now he could fight back against the chaos that consumed his world. The unknown hunter moved through the other monsters towards the building where Suho was. In his hands was a heavy sword that he dragged along the ground. As the hunter approached the building, he jumped incredibly high in the air. His movements were swift and graceful. His goal was clear, and he aimed to reach it with maximum precision and speed. Suho went to the window to see what was happening outside, but suddenly he noticed that a swift attack was launched at him. He saw the fog burn was already nearby, drawing his sword to attack. Suho, in a slight daze, didn't know what to do. He had to find a way to avoid being hit and work out a plan of action to avoid falling victim to the swift attack. He was attacked by an incredibly strong monster. It was a Mistburn awakened, a C rank. Stopping it would be quite difficult, especially considering Suho's own rank. The Mistburn launched an attack, a powerful strike that sent piles of rocks crashing down. Debris scattered everywhere, clouds of dust filling the air, choking the battlefield with chaos. Meanwhile, throughout the city, a warning blared from every speaker. There has been an escape from an underground prison in the Korean University District. Residents in the surrounding areas are to evacuate immediately. The urgent message repeated again and again, echoing through the streets. On a nearby rooftop, soldiers stood watching, frustrated and powerless. They weren't allowed to interfere, not until the proper order was given. How much longer? The commander growled. When will the hunters arrive? His subordinate responded. They're sending B-rank hunters, but they need time. B-rank? Another soldier muttered in disbelief. This only needs a D-rank. The soldier checked his tablet, scrolling through the list of infected hunters. His eyes widened in shock. A familiar face appeared on the screen. Even C-rank hunters. Infected? How is this possible? Back at the scene, Suho stared down the Mistburner, who had now leapt to his floor. The creature gripped its sword tightly, eyes fixed on him. Suho's heart pounded. He couldn't believe the Mistburner had come all the way from the lower floors. Just for him. Suho clenched his fists. I've grown stronger. I can handle this, he told himself. He believed in his newfound strength. The monster attacked, fast and deadly. Suho barely dodged in time, rolling to the side as the blade sliced through the air. His pulse raced. His breathing quickened. Adrenaline surged through him, and his body shook, but he forced himself to stay calm. The monster didn't follow up with another strike. Instead, it stood still. It terrified him. The monster's eyes narrowed. Then it drew its sword again. Suho's back was to the wall. The beast's intentions were clear. No mercy. As the monster lunged forward, Suho snatched a fire extinguisher and hurled it straight at him. The monster's blade slashed through it with ease. Psh! The extinguisher exploded, filling the room with a thick, blinding fog. Now's my chance, Suho thought, coughing and struggling to see through the haze. He knew he couldn't defeat this thing. Not now. He had to escape. This thing's too strong. He turned and bolted from the room. His feet pounded the floor as he sprinted down the hallway. He couldn't look back. There was no time. But the monster, it was already following. Suho felt the burning gaze on his back. The Mistburner's smile was cold, twisted, its eyes gleaming with a sinister, evil light. The air seemed to grow heavier, but suddenly the monster stopped. It no longer followed Suho. Confused, Suho slowed down, cautiously turning back. Then he saw it. The monster wasn't looking at him anymore. Instead, it was staring out the window. Three frightened girls stood huddled together on a nearby rooftop. They had no idea the monster was watching them. They believed they were safe, waiting for rescue, unaware that death was staring straight at them. The monster's smile widened, twisted and vile. It turned away from Suho and leapt from the window, heading straight for the girls. The monster did not manage to hit the girls with his sword, who started to run away in panic, their frightened screams spreading throughout. Suho heard the screams and rage boiled inside him. He realized there was no choice but to fight. Running forward, he leaped after the monstrous beast. There was no time to wait for the hunter. The monster was relentless, and only Suho could save the girls now. The monster, oblivious to Suho's pursuit, was stunned when Suho suddenly struck him from behind. Seizing the moment, Suho dug his feet into the ground, bracing himself for the next attack. Determined, he knew he had to stop the beast before it claimed more innocent lives. But the monster barely flinched. Enraged, it turned, swinging its sword with terrifying force. Suho barely managed to dodge, feeling the blade sweep just inches from his body. His heart pounded as he gasped for breath, forcing himself to think quickly. One hit, just one, could be fatal. Glancing around, Suho's heart sank. The monster had already claimed the lives of several girls standing on the rooftop. Gritting his teeth, he knew he couldn't let this end quietly. He had to finish this fight here and now. Charging forward, Suho unleashed a flurry of powerful blows. His fists struck the monster again and again, but it refused to fall. Suho struck harder, faster, his knuckles raw, his muscles screaming. But the beast stood firm. Then Suho's strength faltered. Exhaustion slowed his strikes. The monster grinned wickedly, seizing the moment. With a swift motion, its sword slashed across Suho's side. Pain exploded through him, sharp and searing. Suho stumbled back, clutching his wound. Blood seeped between his fingers. Before he could react, the monster struck again, sending him flying into a wall. The impact shattered bricks around him. Suho crumpled to the ground, breathless and weak. The monster approached slowly, savoring the moment. Suho's vision blurred. He knew he couldn't stand. His body refused to move. He thought it was over. Death was inevitable. But then, a strange sensation stirred inside him. A tingling, like 1,000 tiny shocks, surged through his veins. His fingers twitched, and the feeling grew stronger. Something had awakened within him, an unfamiliar power he had never felt before. The sensation intensified, coursing through him with electrifying force. Fear mixed with curiosity as Suho tried to understand what was happening. The monster was close now, raising its sword for the final blow. The system's warning flashed in his mind. His fatigue was critical. He was slipping into unconsciousness. He couldn't fight anymore. Desperation filled him. Should he beg for mercy? No, there was no mercy here. Suddenly, the rooftop cracked. The structure gave way, and both Suho and the monster plummeted downward. Suho couldn't stop his fall. He hit the ground hard, dust and debris swallowing him. Pain racked his body, and he felt his strength fading fast. Blood pooled beneath him. He was dying. Through the haze, Suho glimpsed a shadow, the form of a creature. An ant? Could it be? Memories flickered. Suho remembered drawing ants, fascinated by their resilience. Now one stood before him. The ant spoke softly. "I'm sorry I was late, but I won't let this monster finish you." With fury in its eyes, the ant turned toward the monster. The beast, so powerful before, now seemed pitiful against the ant's rage. The ant struck, swift and merciless, shattering the monster into countless pieces. The monsters walked around the institute looking for new prey to destroy and infect with blue flames, so that they would continue to create the same monsters. One of the monsters saw a living man who was standing with a mop in his hands, unsuspecting. He was immersed in his thoughts and did not realize the approaching threat. Seeing the monster, the man was frightened and froze on the spot. His face turned pale with horror. He couldn't understand who or what it was that stood before him, so monstrous and terrifying. Panic seized him, and he frantically tried to think of a way to save himself. But fear had paralyzed his body. In a desperate attempt, he threw the mop to the ground and screamed for help, clutching his head with both hands. Lowering his gaze, he failed to notice that the monster attacking him had already been destroyed. At that moment, all the monsters were wiped out in an instant, and a massive echo reverberated throughout the city. The air crackled with magical energy as Baru unleashed a powerful wave that seemed to shake the entire area. The soldiers nearby stood frozen, unable to comprehend what had just happened. They sensed something powerful and overwhelming in the air, But Baru wasted no time. He rushed back to his master, Suho. With a warm smile, Baru greeted him. "It's been a long time," he said. "I'm so happy to see my little master again."
Feel like I should, feel like I should, feel like I should, feel like I should go. Go. Feel like I should go. Feel like I should, feel like I should, feel like I should, feel like I should go.